So I heard that Notre Dame finally got a win. Does that mean that they move up in the top 25? I would probably be willing to bet my life savings that Bama on a bye week found a way to move up. And what about the Miami Hurricanes? Did they at least jump LSU after a more convincing win over a common opponent, the Florida Gators? Let's find out. What's going on, Canes fans? Yes, I have managed to avoid looking at the AP Top 25 again this week until right now. So this is my raw, real reaction in this video. And we're going to start at number 25 and work our way up to number 1. And you know what to do. Sound off in the comment section. Let me know if you think that they got some of these teams right or wrong. And let's just discuss it and see how everybody feels. So jumping over and starting at number 25 is a previously unranked team, BYU. They're undefeated. They're 3-0. And it looks good here to see in the top 25 some actual undefeated teams right here on the tail end of this thing. But they've got Colorado coming up on Saturday, continuing to try to prove themselves and climb here. TCU at 24, another team that was unranked, beats SMU, aka Mini U, 35-24. What is going on with the Mustangs under Rhett Lashlee this year? Maybe just not enough Miami players to get them over the hump and continue to see, success this season. 23. I knew this was coming. What a fall. Illinois from 9 to 23. Got that booty spanked by Indiana 63-10. Good grief. This says the loss to Indiana was its worst ever loss as an AP ranked team. That's embarrassing. I don't even know what else to say. Let's just keep it moving. 22. There they are. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They move up from 24 to 22 after they found a way to get a W in 2025 against Purdue. 56-30. They have Arkansas coming up on Saturday at noon. And, I never root for any team but the Miami Hurricanes, ever. But I will say, maybe keep climbing back into this thing a little bit because this is a team that we beat. And all I see all over social media is, well, you beat a bad, overhyped, overranked, Notre Dame team, which is true to an extent. But let's see if they can continue to, climb and work their way back up into this thing. 21 is USC, undefeated, 4-0. Beat Michigan State 45-31. What's it say? USC has scored 210 points through 4 games, the 4th highest total in program history. So we'll see what the Trojans can keep doing this season. 20 is Mizzou. They were 23, so they continue to jump up here, and they beat South Carolina. That's right, 29-20, and they held them to -9 rushing yards. That's pretty impressive from Mizzou there. At 19 is Michigan. Nobody cares. 18, Vandy. 4-0. They continue to win football games. They were 20. Now they're 18. It's Georgia State at the end of the day, 70-21, a blowout. But to be fair, Vanderbilt is a type of team that you don't want to find on your schedule because these guys will ruin your season. So many people sleep on Vanderbilt and they win the games that they're not supposed to win. And here they are. They find themselves at number 18. That's crazy. I was wrong. It's a good thing that it's a good thing that I didn't bet the life savings on Alabama. They were idle bye week. They went from 14 to 17. So there's obviously been some movement here coming up that has pushed Alabama back a bit. They got a big showdown looming against Georgia. Night game, Saturday, 7:30 on ABC. That one's going to be kind of wild. A big test for the Alabama fans because, they're used to being undefeated at this point in the season, and a lot of them are ready to jump ship. So what happens if they start 2-2 and lose to the Dogs? We'll see. 16, Georgia Tech. They move up a little bit, and they deserve it. I think so. They're 4-0. They beat Temple 45-24. Good grief. It says their first 4-0 start since 2014. They have a conference game coming up Saturday against Wake Forest at noon, so hopefully they don't sleepwalk through that one. 15 here, we have the Volunteers. No movement. They beat UAB. You got to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. UAB is one of them, 56-24, as expected, stagnant, staying at 15. Iowa State was idle. They also fall back a little bit. They go from 12 to 14. Whoa, I'm going to start getting a little interested about the top 10 here. 13 is Ole Miss. They stay in the same spot. They beat Tulane 45-10. They have to play LSU on Saturday, though. That's a big-time game for Ole Miss. 12 is Texas Tech. So that's quite the jump for them from 17 to 12. But they did beat Utah 34-10. And it says that it's their first win as a ranked team since 2008. And it's their first 4-0 start since 2013. So Texas Tech is making some noise here. Are they the real deal? I'll be honest, I don't think so, personally. But they're doing what they're expected to do right now. 11, Indiana. They were 19. Yo, this might be the biggest jump that we see on this list, given that we're approaching the top 10 here. Mollywopped Illinois 63-10. Good grief, 19-11. They're 4-0. Okay, Indiana continues to do big things. All right, fair enough. Now here we go. The top 10 is coming up, so it's about to get real good. But before it does, you know that I got to give a shout out to the video sponsor, Sleeper, the #1 sports app. And I don't say that lightly. This is my go-to sports app. It was before they even sponsored the channel. You can get live updates to games quicker than any other app right at your fingertips. You can participate in real-time chats with other users reacting to the games, and not just college games, NFL, WNBA, MLB, all sorts of different sports. You can play fantasy football, and you can even enter picks contests, which is my personal favorite part. Just pick more or less on player stats and win yourself some real money. It's available in 30 plus states and growing. Just make sure that you click the link down in the description below and use code word COOP, because if you do, that activates a 100% deposit match, meaning that if you deposit $50, Sleeper gives you another $50, giving you $100 to play with. So deposit match up to $100 on your first deposit. Just use code word COOP. Check out the link down in the description, and thank you very much to Sleeper. So here we go. The moment of truth. Number 10. Their next game is October 4th against Florida. I know exactly who that is. It's the old Texas. So they fall back a little bit here. They beat Sam Houston in a big way. They were flexing this win, man. They were saying Arch Manning has aura, and it was him standing over Sam Houston players in the end zone. I mean, I guess that's what my nephew's saying stuff. You know, this has aura, that has aura. I don't know. It gets tossed around all over the place. Maybe what I guess I don't quite understand what it means if Arch Manning has aura. Maybe I'm confused. I don't know. I'm a 35-year-old, so I'm out of the loop a little bit. Maybe somebody can fill me in. I'm really not sure that I understand, though. But Texas does get pushed back to 10. And the Aggies find themselves inside here at number 9 off of a bye week. They had that big win over Notre Dame in the fourth quarter last week, but they have Auburn coming up, so that's going to be a pretty big game. At 8, so Florida State gets a big win against Kent State, 66-10. I need Florida State fans to sound off for me here. They go from 8 or excuse me, they go from 7 to 8. So they get pushed back a little bit, but they have an ACC game coming up this Friday night against Virginia. And we have to hope that they don't sleepwalk through this game or look past it looking ahead to Miami, because same thing that I said for Notre Dame. I'm not rooting for Florida State. I'm not saying go, you know what, I don't want people to clip it out of context and post this on social media, because I know you will. But an undefeated FSU versus undefeated Miami, we're locked in. Like, we have a bye week. Those two undefeated teams would be such a big game. It's already been announced that it's a 7:30 p.m. kickoff on ABC for that Miami versus Florida State game. So y'all need to handle business is what I'm saying. All right? So don't let us down, little brother. So at 7 now, replacing Florida State in that spot is Oklahoma, who defeated Auburn 24-17. And then what's really interesting about this is then Oklahoma, I believe, has a bye, it looks like. And then they're going to play Kent State, the team that Florida State just beat 66-10. Kind of crazy how this scheduling plays out at times. Number 6, Oregon. So they stay in the same spot. They beat Oregon State as expected in a big way, 41-7, but they have to play Penn State. And well, we know we haven't talked about Penn State yet. And guess what? They're somewhere coming up here real soon. Georgia at 5. They had a bye week. They stay in the same spot. Makes a ton of sense here for them. I mean, they're 3-0, and then they have the showdown with Bama coming up. Top 5 here. Okay, Miami was 4. Whoa. Let's keep this in mind. Miami was 4 last week before the game against Florida. And this says this team plays Ole Miss next, so I know that Miami is not still at 4. Ooh. So it's not looking like the Canes have jumped LSU, who defeated at Southeastern Louisiana 56-10. No matter what, this makes perfect sense. You share that opponent, Florida, and Miami beat them in a more convincing way than LSU did. I mean, Florida had 5 I'm trying to manifest Florida State having 5 turnovers against us in that game. Florida had 5 turnovers against LSU, and they couldn't make the most of it, with their offense. So they actually fall back to 4, which means okay, Penn State actually falls back as well from 2 to 3, because guess what? They had a bye week. And you know what? I agree with this, because jumping Penn State is fair. Think about this. Who has Penn State realistically played? Like, let's talk about it and be real here for a second. Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. But now you get a chance to prove yourself because you get to play Oregon this Saturday, who is number 6. So you finally have a ranked showdown. So prove it. Right? It's on you, Penn State. You beat nobody. And if people want to sit here and dog Miami and clown the Canes because Notre Dame is now 1-2, or Florida was no longer ranked, USF is no longer ranked, those are still more convincing wins against better opponents than what Penn State has played up to this point, even if they've been super convincing wins. It's Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. No one cares, Penn State. So let's see what y'all do against Oregon. If they drop that, okay. So, I know what's coming up here then. That means the Canes. Isn't this the first time Miami has been at number 2, or at the very least ranked this high since 2017? I'm pretty sure it is, and please fact check me on that, because I've got the memory of a Mongolian gerbil. It's very difficult for me to recall some of these things that I don't remember what I had for breakfast, guys, is what I'm getting at. But the Canes are 4-0, a 19-point win against Florida going into the bye week. I love you, ESPN. Right now, I absolutely love ESPN. They say stats to know. Miami had more. I'm done. Let me get myself together. Okay. Miami had both more rushing yards and passing yards than Florida had total yards. You know, Florida is my most hated team. So that puts a very big smile on my face. Well deserved up to this point. You got to hope that Miami doesn't get a big head. And I don't think that they will. Fans can talk trash. We can embrace it. We can have fun with it. I believe that Mario Cristobal has the team locked in. I don't believe that it will be an issue. But that number 2 by the name, and we all know who that leaves at number 1. A team that hopefully someday we get another crack at. Ohio State, they were off. They play Washington on Saturday. It's insane, man, to see Ohio State and then Miami right below that, and to see the Miami Hurricanes name ahead of Penn State, ahead of LSU, ahead of Georgia, ahead of Oregon. It's just not something that, as a Canes fan since the early 2000s, it's not something that I'm used to seeing consistently, So it's just kind of a shock. My brain doesn't really know how to process this because it just hasn't happened real often in my lifetime, following the Canes. So here's your snapshot. You have the AP top 25 here on the left. I know it's small. And the coaches poll over on the right. And I will say that I think they have it right, all things considered. When you factor everything in, and some of these teams that have a little bit more to prove, when you look at Miami's opponents, I think that number 2 is fair. Has Miami earned it up to this point? I would say so. Can they maintain it? Can they stay that highly ranked? We'll see. Miami has to keep proving themselves, of course. And that Florida State game, man, that team's no slouch. I'm really not too upset with this. I mean, the headlines would probably be Indiana with having the biggest jump, moving up 8. Illinois having the most movement, period, dropping 14 spots. And really, the movement right here in the top 10, the biggest movement is really going to be Miami bumping up 2 spots and Oklahoma bumping up 4 and finding themselves right there inside the top 10. But, in the top 5, you don't really see a whole lot of movement unless somebody loses. And Miami moving up ahead of LSU and Penn State after that Florida win is a big, 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 big. But at the end of the day, timeout. I like to discuss this for fun. It's just interesting to look at because all that matters is winning. That number 2 doesn't mean a thing if Miami goes out and takes a dump at Doak. Then who cares about the number 2 or, at least we're still, top 10 or top 15. Nobody cares. You just have to keep winning. But it is still just interesting to discuss. So don't be shy down in the comments. It's fun to talk about it. It's part of college football. They have the rankings. It is what it is. But let me know if you think that they got anybody wrong in this one. Do you think that the Canes deserve to be at number 2 right now? Let's be real. Let's be honest about it. I don't really have any gripes up to this point. I don't. I really don't. Remember, though, guys, we're all one big happy college football family, but at the end of the day, I got to say, it's always better when you get to rep the U. Coach Coop, peace out. I'll see y'all in the next one.